January 3rd, 2020, precisely 1 a.m. local time, Baghdad International Airport, Iraq. The sprawling capital lies shrouded in midnight silence, its ancient streets and modern towers oblivious to the storm about to break. But 15,000 feet above, in the cold void of the Iraqi night sky, something is awake. Something is hunting. An MQ-9 Reaper drone, call sign Predator, wingspan 66 feet, payload capacity nearly 4,000 pounds, circles with mechanical precision. Its electro-optical infrared sensors pierce the darkness, capable of identifying a human face from miles away. Tonight, those sensors are locked on a high-value target. Below, on the dimly lit service road adjacent to runway 33L, two vehicles emerge from the shadows of the cargo terminal. A silver Toyota Avalon, license plate obscured for security, leads the way. Trailing closely is a black Hyundai Starex minibus, its tinted windows hiding the passengers inside. This is standard protocol for VIP movements in a war zone: discreet, fast, unpredictable. In the back seat of the Avalon sits Qasem Soleimani, 62 years old, born March 11, 1957. Silver hair cropped short, face etched with lines from decades of conflict. He wears his signature green military jacket, no rank insignia, no medals, just the quiet authority of a man who has built an empire in the shadows. He's checking his phone, perhaps a secure message from his daughter Zainab in Tehran or last-minute intelligence from his network in Damascus. He has no idea that in a fortified operations center at Creech Air Force Base in Nevada, USA, over 7,000 miles away, a drone crew has just received the final execute order from the White House. 30 seconds, a fleeting whisper in the grand tapestry of history. 4 AGM-114 Hellfire missiles detach from the Reaper's underwing pylons, laser-guided, unerring, each carrying a 20-pound high-explosive warhead engineered to penetrate armored vehicles before unleashing hell inside. 30 seconds of eerie silence as the missiles plummet. No roar, no alarm, just gravity and fate. Then the world erupts in fire. When the first rays of dawn pierce the smoke at 6:45 a.m., the scene is of utter devastation. Twisted metal scatters across the asphalt. Burning rubber fills the air with acrid stench. Emergency lights from Iraqi response teams flash red and blue. Qasem Soleimani, the architect of Iran's shadow empire, the second most powerful man in Tehran after Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. Killed on Iraqi soil by direct order of United States President Donald Trump. This wasn't just an assassination, it was the spark that nearly ignited World War III, a brazen violation of Iraqi sovereignty, a diplomatic earthquake that rattled capitals from Washington to Moscow, a constitutional crisis that sparked heated debates in the US Congress. But this moment, this fiery end on a lonely airport road, had been building for 40 years.
Imagine a boy from the dust-choked village of Kanat Malek in Kerman, southeastern Iran, born on March 11, 1957. Qasem Soleimani quits school at 13, swings a hammer on construction sites in the city of Kerman to pay his father's debts to the local moneylenders. A quiet, unassuming life, until the tanks come rolling in. September 22, 1980. Saddam Hussein launches a full-scale invasion of Iran, aiming to seize oil-rich Khuzestan province. What was meant to be a swift victory turns into 8 years of brutal trench warfare, the longest conventional war of the 20th century. Over 1 million dead on both sides. Chemical weapons deployed by Iraq and Halabja on March 16, 1988, killing 5,000 civilians. Human wave attacks where Iranian teenagers charged Iraqi machine guns. Soleimani joins the Islamic Revolutionary Corps, the IRGC, on day 1, founded just a year earlier in 1979 to protect the Islamic Revolution. He has no formal military training, no academy degree, just raw instinct and unyielding faith. By the war's end on August 20th, 1988, Soleimani is commanding entire battalions. His reputation for cunning tactics spreads. In 1998, at the age of 41, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei appoints him commander of the Quds Force on January 22nd, the IRGC's elite Special Forces unit, named for Jerusalem, Al-Quds in Arabic, responsible for all extraterritorial operations, covert actions, and proxy warfare. He becomes the phantom puppeteer, pulling strings from Tehran. In Lebanon, starting in the early 2000s, he arms and trains Hezbollah, transforming it from a ragtag militia into a sophisticated force with over 150,000 rockets by 2020, capable of overwhelming Israel's Iron Dome. In Iraq, post-US invasion on March 20, 2003, his Quds Force supplies Shiite militias like Kataib Hezbollah with EFPs, explosively formed penetrators that can pierce M1 Abrams tanks, claiming over 600 US lives between 2003 and 2011. In Syria, from 2012 onward, he coordinates Hezbollah fighters, Iraqi paramilitaries, and Russian airstrikes starting September 30, 2015, to prop up Bashar al-Assad in Damascus amid a civil war that has killed over 500,000. Gaza, arms shipments to Hamas via tunnels from Egypt. Yemen, Houthi rebels trained and equipped since 2014. Afghanistan, support for anti-Taliban forces in the 1990s, then shifting alliances. His fingerprints are everywhere, a web of influence spanning from the Mediterranean to the Arabian Sea. In 2008, he sends a handwritten letter to General David Petraeus, U.S. commander in Iraq, delivered through Iraqi intermediaries in Baghdad's Green Zone. General Petraeus, you must know that I, Qasem Soleimani, control Iran's policies for Iraq, Lebanon, Gaza, and Afghanistan. To the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., he's a terrorist mastermind drenched in American blood. To millions in Iran, he's a national icon, always in that simple green military jacket, visiting front lines in Mosul or Aleppo, dining with Khamenei in Tehran's Sadabad Palace. Former Mossad director Yossi Cohen warns in a 2018 speech in Tel Aviv, Soleimani personally tightened a noose around Israel's neck. He danced through shadows, evading CIA drone strikes in Yemen, Mossad poisoning attempts in Damascus, every assassination plot from 2006 to 2019. A ghost, until the ghosts finally caught him.
December 27, 2019, K-1 Air Base, Kirkuk, northern Iraq. Late afternoon, 4:30 p.m. local time. American contractors and Iraqi forces wrap up routine maintenance. Then sirens wail. Incoming rockets. More than 30 Katyusha missiles, Soviet-era design, inaccurate but devastating in swarms. They slam into barracks and hangars. Most miss vital targets. Some don't. When the dust settles, one American is dead. Nowres Hamid, a 33-year-old contractor from Sacramento, California. 4 U.S. service members wounded. Iraqi casualties too. Intelligence from Langley traces the attack to Kataib Hezbollah, an Iranian-backed militia operating from bases near the Syrian border, which means it traces back to Qasem Soleimani in Tehran. President Trump is at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida, when he gets the brief at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. For 18 months, his administration has walked a tightrope with Iran. After withdrawing from the JCPOA nuclear deal on May 8, 2018, Trump imposed maximum pressure sanctions. Iran responded with escalations, attacks on oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz on June 13, 2019, shooting down a U.S. RQ-4 Global Hawk drone over international waters on June 20, 2019, harassment of American ships in the Persian Gulf. Each time, Trump held back. No strikes, no war. He didn't want another endless Middle East conflict like those in Afghanistan since October 7, 2001, or Iraq since 2003. But this, an American killed on December 27, was a line crossed. December 29, 2019, the U.S. launches F-15E airstrikes on 5 Kataib Hezbollah facilities, 3 in Iraq, 2 in Syria. Militants killed, 25, weapons depots destroyed. Message sent. But the message backfires. December 31, 2019, Baghdad's Green Zone,
10 a.m. local time. Thousands of protesters, many armed Kataib Hezbollah members, stormed the U.S. Embassy compound. They breached the outer wall, set fires in reception areas, spray paint slogans, "Soleimani is my leader, death to America." For 2 days, American diplomats hunker in safe rooms while Iraqi security forces stand by, because these militias are part of the Iraqi state now, integrated into the popular mobilization forces since 2014. And everyone knows who pulls their strings: Soleimani. January 2nd, 2020, Mar-a-Lago, Florida, 3 p.m. Eastern. Trump convenes his national security team. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Secretary of Defense Mark Esper, Joint Chiefs General Mark Milley, CIA Director Gina Haspel. They meet in a secure room, reviewing options: cyber operations against Iranian networks, more airstrikes on militia bases in Anbar province, escalated economic pressure on Tehran, and then the extreme option, included to make everything else seem moderate: a targeted strike on Qasem Soleimani himself. No one expects Trump to choose it. It's too risky, too provocative. Soleimani is a senior state official. Killing him would shatter norms established since World War II. Trump chooses it anyway. The authorization goes out immediately at 5 p.m. Eastern. CIA and military intelligence shift into overdrive. They've been tracking Soleimani for weeks, from his residence in Nayavaran district to movements in Damascus. Signals intelligence from NSA, human sources inside Baghdad and Damascus airports. They know he's in Damascus on January 2nd, and at 11 p.m. Syrian time, they intercept the flight plan. Cham Wings, Flight 601, Damascus International Airport to Baghdad. Departure, 11 p.m. Arrival, 12:36 Iraqi time. The trap is set.
12:36 a.m. Baghdad International Airport, runway 33L. The Sham Wings Airbus A320 touches down after a 50-minute delay due to fog. Routine landing. It taxis to the secluded cargo terminal, away from passenger eyes. This is a VIP arrival. The aircraft door opens. Qasem Soleimani steps out onto the tarmac. Civilian clothes, dark jacket, no military markings, low profile, but feudal. Iraqi officials have cleared the area. Security holds back. Waiting is Abu Mahdi al-Mohandes, real name Jamal Jafar Ibrahim, deputy head of Iraq's Popular Mobilization Forces, on the U.S. terrorist list since 2009, one of Soleimani's closest allies in Baghdad. The two men embrace, old friends from the Iraq insurgency days. Tonight, they're set to discuss retaliation, stepping up pressure on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria. Two vehicles wait: silver Toyota Avalon for Soleimani and his 3 bodyguards, Hyundai Starex minibus for al-Mohandes and his 4-man team. Total, 10 men. The convoy pulls away at 12:40 a.m., heading toward the airport exit road. High above, at least 2 MQ-9 Reapers have been orbiting since 11 p.m., staged from Ali al-Salam Air Base in Kuwait, piloted remotely from Creech in Nevada. They've tracked the flight since takeoff, watched the landing, confirmed Soleimani's disembarkation via ground informants, possibly Kurdish Peshmerga or Delta Force spotters embedded near the airport. At 12:47 a.m., the final call comes. Target verified. Weapons free. Hellfire missiles streak downward. Inside the Avalon, Soleimani is probably still on his phone. His bodyguards scan the road. None hear the missiles. At Mach 1.3, sound lags behind. The first Hellfire strikes the Toyota at 12:47:30 a.m. The shaped charge punches through the roof, detonates inside. Metal, glass, flesh, all shredded in an instant. The vehicle lifts, flips, scatters. A second missile follows. Overkill. The remaining missiles vaporize the Starex. The entire strike, from launch to final detonation, takes less than a minute. When Iraqi emergency crews arrive at 1:05 a.m., there's nothing to save. 10 men dead, wreckage burning. Soleimani identified by one detail: a silver ring on his right hand, set with a deep red carnelian stone. A gift from his family, never removed.
The news breaks before dawn.
2 a.m. Baghdad time. Iranian state media Fars news agency reports it first. Then Al Jazeera and Doha at 3 a.m. CNN in Atlanta at 7 p.m. Eastern, January 2. Within an hour, it's the biggest story on the planet. The United States has killed one of Iran's most powerful generals on Iraqi soil. At 7 a.m. Eastern, January 3, President Trump tweets from Mar-a-Lago, a single American flag, no words. Later that day, the Pentagon releases a statement from its headquarters in Arlington, Virginia. The strike was defensive to prevent imminent attacks on American personnel in the region. But questions explode like secondary detonations. What imminent attack? The Pentagon provides no specific dates, targets, or evidence. Members of Congress, briefed in classified sessions on January 4, say they saw no concrete proof of anything imminent. Then there's international law. This was the killing of a senior Iranian general traveling openly between Damascus and Baghdad, struck at an international airport in a third country. It violated Iraqi sovereignty under Article 2.4 of the UN Charter, which prohibits force against territorial integrity. The UN Charter permits force only in self-defense against an armed attack, Article 51, or with Security Council authorization. Neither applied here. And then there's Congress. The strike was ordered without prior authorization. The War Powers Resolution of 1973 requires notification within 48 hours. Trump notifies on January 4, but the constitutional question lingers. Does the president have unilateral authority for such strikes? In July 2020, UN Special Rapporteur on Extrajudicial Killings Agnes Callamard releases her report from Geneva. The strike was unlawful. It violated Iraqi sovereignty. It violated the UN Charter. In Tehran, the reaction is volcanic. Supreme Leader Khamenei appears on state television at 8 a.m. January 3, weeping openly. Harsh revenge awaits the criminals, he declares from his residence in Tehran. Millions pour into the streets of Tehran, Mossad, Isfahan. In Tehran alone, over 3 million attend the funeral procession on January 6. In Kerman, Soleimani's hometown, the press of mourners turns deadly on January 7. 56 people killed in a stampede amid the crush. Iran declares 3 days of national mourning. Khamenei appoints Ismail Qani as the new Quds Force commander on January 3 from Tehran. Behind closed doors in the IRGC headquarters, retaliation is planned. January 8, 2020, Western Iran, 1:30 a.m. local time. Iranian ballistic missiles light up the night sky from launch sites near Kermanshah. More than a dozen Fateh 313 and Qiyam missiles, accurate to within 100 meters, fired from Iranian territory, arcing over 600 miles into Iraq. Their targets, Al-Assad Air Base in Anbar province and facilities near Erbil in Kurdistan. The missiles are accurate. They strike aircraft hangars, barracks, runways at 1:34 a.m. Explosions bloom across the desert. No Americans are killed. Troops sheltered in bunkers after early warning from Iraqi intelligence at 11 p.m. January 7th. But 110 U.S. troops suffered traumatic brain injuries, concussions, hearing loss, long-term neurological damage. The Pentagon initially downplayed it on January 8th. Weeks later, the true toll emerges. Both sides step back from the brink. Neither wants full-scale war, but the night isn't over. Hours later, at 6:18 a.m. January 8th, Ukrainian International Airlines Flight 752 takes off from Tehran's Imam Khomeini Airport, bound for Kyiv. On board, 176 people, students returning to universities in Canada, families, dual nationals from Iran, Canada, Ukraine, Sweden. 8 minutes after takeoff, an Iranian air defense unit near Tehran, on high alert, nerves frayed by fears of U.S. retaliation, mistakes the Boeing 737-800 for a hostile cruise missile. 2 Tor M1 surface-to-air missiles hit the aircraft at 6:19 a.m. The plane breaks apart mid-air. Debris rains down over farmland outside Tehran. Everyone on board is killed. For 3 days, Iran denies responsibility. Then, on January 11th, under overwhelming evidence from satellite imagery and black box data, it admits the truth, a catastrophic human error. Investigations are promised, compensation offered, but 176 people are still dead, killed not by American bombs, but by the chaos unleashed in their wake. Ismail Qani steps into Soleimani's role as Quds Force commander on January 3. The network he built continues to operate across the so-called axis of resistance, from Hezbollah in Beirut to Houthis in Sana'a. The shadow war continues.
strikes and counterstrikes, covert operations, proxy battles, a conflict that rarely makes headlines but never ends. 30 seconds, that's all it took to kill one of the most powerful generals in the Middle East. 4 missiles, 10 dead. In the age of the Reaper, no one is beyond reach. Not generals, not heroes, not martyrs. The question isn't whether targeted killings work. The question is what comes after. And 5 years later, we're still finding out. As of February 2026, no international court has prosecuted those responsible for the strike. The shadow war continues.